Friday, guys. You know what that means. The MMA Junkie Twitter mailbag is back in your life. I'm here in Uncasville, Connecticut. We'll be providing coverage all weekend for Bellator 245 on Friday, Bellator 246 on Saturday. Before that, I definitely wanted to answer you guys' questions because you guys sent in some good ones this week. First question comes from somebody who I won't read their handle because they're trying to get me to say something. It's a good attempt, but Mike asks, considering how many people are uncomfortable with Nick Diaz's Helwani interview after Nate's BMF loss, are the majority of MMA fans and journalists being hypocrites for hyping Nick Diaz's return? What happened to thinking he shouldn't be fighting? This is a great question. I noticed this trend as well. The last time we heard of Nick before this recent stretch was that interview, and people were concerned, and people did have questions, and the majority did say they didn't want to see him fight. Media, fans, whoever. Now that he's back, you know, the number one, one of the number one topics right now is who should he fight? Is he actually coming back? What does Dana White think? So there is a hypocrisy to this whole thing. It's being overlooked, the issue, should he fight? I think as fans, as people, as media, we're all hypocrites, right? We have trouble separating our brain from our heart, and I think that that's what's going on here. With that being said, you know, I think the smart take, if we're saying, hey, should Nick Diaz fight again? I think the smart take would be he can fight again if he gets cleared, if it's safe for him to do so, because Nick's always been an interesting guy. He's always, seemed to put on interesting interviews. So I don't know if we want to judge what we saw in that video as A, where he is now, or B, if we want to jump to conclusions and say, oh, you know, he shouldn't be fighting. Maybe he got damage from his career. You know, some of the things that we saw getting thrown out at the time of that interview. So let's see what's up with him. Let's let the medical professionals deal with it. Hopefully the UFC does the right thing when it comes to making sure that he's all right. And we'll take it from there. All right, now I have to vet everyone's usernames because that one almost got me, but this one seems pretty safe. Big J2101 asks for my prediction of the tough coaches. This past weekend, Dana White announced that The Ultimate Fighter is coming back, something he said in the past numerous times, but this time it seems a little bit more solid. He said that there's a matchmaking meeting or a tough meeting coming up this week. He said it's one of his priorities when he gets back from Abu Dhabi in November. So I think it's safe to say the wheels are spinning. As for the coaches, it's hard to predict because there is so much time. There's fights that are going on in the next 2 months, big ones. So some of the big names are tied up in situations that's what if they win, what if they lose. But one fight that stuck out to me that doesn't have a solid date is Jorge Masvidal versus Nate Diaz. Those two fighters, if they could get them to agree to do this, I think it would be huge. It would get people to watch the show again. Obviously, it's a big if whenever you have the Diaz brothers sign up for anything that it's going to happen. But that would be my first choice if I was able to try to make it happen. On top of that, other options, Derek Lewis against somebody. I think Derek Lewis would be hilarious on this. The Black Beast is one of the best Instagrammers in the game, one of the best interviewers in the game, and I think if they could get him a foil of somebody that he has a little bit of an edge with, like an Alistair Overeem, could make for a pretty interesting season of tough. All right, guys, we got one more question, and it's a good one coming from Justin Colon at The True Real One. Asks, prospects of Brock Lesnar returning to MMA. The question everybody's been asking this week, ever since the news surfaced that Brock Lesnar's a free agent. Will he come back to the UFC? Will he go to MMA? The only person that can answer that question, as much as I'll try to do my best, is Brock Lesnar himself. He's the only one that knows what he wants to accomplish in his athletic career before he can't anymore. Let's face it, he's getting up there in age. He's competed for his entire life in athletics. So I personally don't see him wanting to come back to the UFC where he's got a good paying gig with the WWE. Coming to the UFC would mean that he would have to go back to the gym. He would have to go into the USADA pool. He would have to build training partners, call up his old coaches or new ones, and try to get himself established, get his feet under him, where unless he's just going straight for the payday, he doesn't want anything else out of it, he's going to have to get himself into good shape, where he's able to take a fight, take a top contender. And I don't really see that being as appealing to most people as, competing in the WWE where you already have a solid gig locked down and you don't have to shake off the rust. So for me, I don't think we'll see him again. I think the UFC is probably his only option in MMA. I don't see Bellator being a player I'm sure the UFC still has some strings in terms of where he can go, even though he's not technically on the roster. But hey, we've seen crazier things in MMA, and Brock Lesnar returning to the UFC seems like a 2020 headline, doesn't it?